Hello, Corinne. How are you?
Now it is.
Hey, everybody. Yes, now it is. Technology is working again today. Hey, everybody in the Powered Soul Network. I'm Paul Kellogg, and I just have the wonderful privilege today of sharing with Corinne Zuleger. She is the CEO of Corinne Zuleger Life Coaching. She is a neuro and coding specialist, tons of other coaching certifications and prowess. So, Corinne, so happy to have you here today. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Paul.
Tell us just a little bit more about just what are you passionate about these days, Corrine, and all the work that you do. Just what really is coming to your heart lately?
Lately, what's really been coming to my heart is helping women feel fulfilled. Finding their soul voice, if you will, and their purpose for being here. But in really an inner peace, that peace so that they are, um, like say, calm in all areas of their life.
Beautiful. This is a wonderful day to talk about that because this is International Women's Day today. At least that's my understanding
That's
of it.
right. That's
We're going
right.
to celebrate all of that. So what was your journey
Yeah.
like? Coming from where maybe you were lacking some of that inner peace to finding that inner peace. What were the kinds of things that came for you in your process?
Yeah. So if I look back, it's probably a little over 20 years ago. My first blockage, if you will, I sat on the bathroom floor and thought about taking my life. I was having a nervous breakdown is really what happened. And after some digging and learning and growing, um, what really was behind that was not feeling fulfilled on the inside. I had a wonderful marriage, three beautiful children, but I wasn't feeling like I was living my soul's calling. That was the first component of it. And then, the years went by and I lost my dad to alcohol, and then I lost my brother to drugs and alcohol. And with that, um, it made me want more. It made me want more for people. I started to like unearth, if you will, like why do people have substance problems? And I didn't have a substance problem, but I had a food problem, and and it really came down to numbing and masking emotions. So in helping women be fulfilled, the emotional intelligence component of it is a very big piece of what I do. So that was the beginning. And I had a life coach who, helped me break apart and bust up a lot of my old BS, my own belief systems. And it made me want to be able to do that for other people as well. Now
That's
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Oh yeah, the technology is kind of a little funky right at the moment. That's must be an important subject to talk about every time that happens.
Yeah.
So, in your experience and the people that are listening out there today to us, what's a clue that they are masking, that they're holding in or holding back? How can a person begin to what are some of the signs that maybe you and I as loved ones might see in someone else, knowing now that they need some help? What's happening for those people that
You might see signs of overwhelm and frustration, even procrastination, um, because procrastination really can it can really be like from the fight, flight, or freeze standpoint. It can be freeze. That's what procrastination really can be. Um, they might start to see different substance uses happening within, anger. Um, Often too in women, especially, anger can get stuffed down, and then it can manifest itself as a physical ailment within our bodies. 'Cause we want to be nice and be seen, as good or sweet or, and eventually it takes its toll. You might be able, maybe anxiety might show up. So there's a lot of different ways, stress, sadness. We can start to see um, a whole host of symptoms come up if somebody is not living their true purpose and they've got all these masks on that they believe that culturally they're supposed to do. Maybe it's, from a family perspective, they're supposed to do these things, and it's not sitting with them at a soul level. And inside they're screaming, I don't want to do this. But outside they're pasting on a smile and just kind of going through life. And then, you get to a certain point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to live this way anymore. Um,
So as a person, as a loved one,
mhm,
or a caring manager, or whatever it is, and you're seeing that in somebody, it's so challenging to for those of us looking at that to know how to express ourselves to help that individual. What have you found are some beginning steps, maybe, that I, as someone who cares about that loved one and
mhm.
recognizes that there's pressure or stress there, what can I do to begin to help? Because you want to get in and fix it, right? You want to get in and make that
Right.
person feel better and make them happy and help them feel. But sometimes that creates even more pressure. So
Right.
so what do you suggest to people that are in the mix of and observing that?
Oh, that is such a great question, Paul, because, really, I mean, this is an inside job. And unless somebody has their own awareness, right? So the biggest thing we can do is help to raise awareness in somebody else, um, because they may have a blind spot to it and not necessarily recognize that they're behaving that way or exhibit that way. What I say, if you're going to help someone, you need to make sure that your emotional intelligence is in check, right? Because it's like, if you are not emotionally intelligent and you're going to go tell somebody else how to run their life, that's not going to work out so well. So I want to make sure that you're at a high level of emotional intelligence. The other thing is, you don't want to be confrontational with somebody and be poking at them and being like, you, right? It's coming from, I feel this, I'm observing this, maybe you could say, I read this and maybe this would be helpful. But when it comes to really, somebody has to want to help themselves in order for it to be effective, because it really is it's a you and you deal. It's an inside job. And yeah, it starts by looking in the mirror, right? I get to I get to see um, what's following me around, and get curious about what's happening with me. And that's really where I start is if I'm feeling unfulfilled, I get curious, you know,
Mm.
what's going on here? If I'm feeling a certain emotion, what was the thought that preceded said emotion? What's really happening here? What am I making this mean about me? The list goes on, but if I start to get curious about me, I can start to unearth what's really going on. What am I missing? What am I lacking? But that's where a coach comes in, because a coach can help you with the blind spots. A coach can help get you, on that road to seeing, the areas that need to be looked at. Maybe it's you don't love what you see when you look in the mirror. Um, if you're not, pursuing your life purpose, why? What's blocking you? What's stopping you from playing full out, if you will?
Right. You mentioned emotional intelligence numerous times, and I know that's a buzzword out there that people resonate with a lot. But for
Mhm.
someone who doesn't maybe know that, Can you just give us a brief idea what emotional intelligence means?
Yeah. So it's really, do I understand me
Hmm.
first, right? First and foremost, do I understand me and, why I behave the way I behave? Um, Having an emotional intelligence is, again, understanding that what I'm feeling in my body can be either reacted on or responded to, right? So if I have a reaction, right, if something happens and I, am angry, and now with that anger, I'm punching walls or I'm punching people, that's a little emotional intelligence. But if something happens to me and I get angry and I have a response to that anger, and that response is I journal out something and I'm feeling that anger, but I'm not taking it out on other people. I'm not vomiting on other people, right? So first and foremost, do I understand me? Do I understand others, right? So when I take a look at, do I have compassion and empathy? Can I see, you know, why somebody would behave the way they behave? What might be behind it? Doesn't mean I have to accept it. Do I have personal boundaries? Do they have personal boundaries? And then the world around me in the same way, shape, and form, so that we can, what are we taking in? And this is really good for leaders, because if I come in and I'm, running a tight ship, and I'm saying, this is the way the hammer falls, but I'm not really taking into understanding like what's happening in someone's personal life, that maybe they lost a loved one, maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe something, they have a sick child. There's a lot of things that go into why people don't perform at 100%, but really understanding the emotion component to it.
So in this day, this amazing Women's Day today, recognition of the incredible women that are out there. What what are you seeing that is kind of the groundswell for women that not only could they do more of, but the men in their lives could be more supportive of? Like you mentioned boundaries, for example, things like that. What are you seeing, Corinne, in the in your coaching profession and just in engaging with your other women colleagues that's happening?
What I'm seeing is women um, standing up for themselves more, and falling into, what in that pursuit of more, saying yes to themselves more. Um, it was viewed, especially like the generation of my mom's generation, and beyond, back of that, was if a woman was, you know, doing something for self, that was selfish.
Hmm.
And understanding that self-care is not selfish, right? So doing for self, um, and not just doing for self, but having our own soul's purposes be met, right? Um, of course, there it's a noble job to raise children. But not all women were meant to be moms. Not all women want to be stay-at-home moms. Not all women want to go to work. And also that really respecting that choice that a woman makes for herself. I think that that's important too. Um, Women want to be seen and heard and valued, and to know that we have a say, not just in our own homes, but in the workspaces as well, and in the world. Bringing that feminine energy back into the world, the loving and compassionate component to things. There's certainly a place for both energies, the masculine and the feminine energy. Um, but it's that feminine energy can often be kind of poo-pooed, if you will, right? If you're empathetic and you're compassionate, you might be viewed as soft and weak. And there could be no further from the truth, right? Is to be soft and weak, because um, if anybody's ever seen a mama bear, that's feminine energy, but when she needs to be, she's pretty tough. So
Yeah, it's really a feeling of embracing the power of that feminine part. I mean, I think it's why we call our network the Empowered Soul Network, because it's not man and woman, it's that inner spirit
Yeah.
inside that wants to express and come out and be firm yet fair and gentle, as people are growing. And I'm just marveling at, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Corinne, the subtle impact of what you're talking about on my gender. The Super Bowl with the two massive football teams, and the losing team, which nobody really loses in those kinds of things to me. These 300-pound, linemen that can lift 400 pounds of weights just in tears, hugging each other, and
Mhm.
I mean, back when my father was, you rarely hugged my dad, right?
Mhm.
And so on. And so, do you see that? Do you see the balance coming up? And what do you find that women are experiencing as they watch their male loved ones or counterparts go through this kind of balancing of that heart coming out?
I love it, first of all. I mean, I know, like to me, because a big feely person that I love being able to see that warmth come out. I love to see the beautiful blend of that energy, the release of it as well, like you referenced. But it's important, right? Because as leaders of companies, learn to embrace that energy and bring it into their workspaces and allow for it, people are going to stay in jobs longer. And
Mm,
because, what we're seeing with this younger generation is they're not going to stay in a space where there isn't that understanding. They're like, peace out, we're going over here, or we'll work for ourselves. Nobody wants to be treated like that. So we're starting to see it. It's coming up. To me, it's a beautiful thing. Um, and I think it's important to allow it. There can be such like a mixed message sent where, I want you to be able to express your emotions. And then when the man does express his emotions, the woman doesn't really know quite how to respond to it because it hasn't been that way before, but being allowing and being open and I think too, not feeling like you always have to fix it for them, like that, allow them to feel their emotions. And I think it's beautiful. I love it. Mhm. Yeah.
any umbrella clues as we begin to wrap up today? Any overriding best practice to help a woman and a man have that connection that you're talking about of the
Mhm.
depth of heart and soul? And I know maybe you're not necessarily a couples coach, but I'll bet you do some of that. And what have you found that bridges that gap?
Well, listening, good listening, right? Again, not jumping in and feeling like you have to be the one to fix it, but allowing for that space of when we come from a place of I feel in a relationship, I feel this. Um, it's not confrontational then. So if you are having to have difficult conversations, have them, right? It's important to not let them get stuff down and stew on them because then you get the quarter in your eye, proverbial quarter. Um, but that it is important, open communication. My husband and I have been together nearly 32 years and still working on that communication component and how can we better understand each other and really understanding that I'm not to fix him. He is who he is. We can learn and grow together, and that's phenomenal. But nobody wants to be poked in the eye and told they have to change. Right? It comes from the inside. So,
Yeah, I know I can relate to that really well. I'm glad you said all that because,
mhm,
my wife Susan, it's now 47 years this year, and there's no end to the growth.
right?
There's no end to the communication. And I think I could attest to, you know, she has her own private personal life inside. I may not know what's going on in the thoughts or the thinking. And to what I hear you saying is to honor that other person's uniqueness and privacy and individuality, listen to it, respect it. That seems to be what I'm hearing you say in everything.
Yep,
Not
yep.
I need to do that for myself. I need to do that for my loved ones, do that to each other.
Mhm.
Is that the crux of the matter, Corinne?
It absolutely is. In and it starts here, right? So if I look in the mirror and I can say, Kareem, I'm the love of my life, right? I am the first and foremost the love of my life, and then I get to reach my hands out and love other people
Mm.
fully and wholly, um and again, as they are, right? Come as you are, and I get to love you. And if you come to me seeking help, I'm here to help you. If you've come to me to just listen, then I'm here to listen. You and I talk about that. Do I got my coach hat on or I got my mom hat on? Which one do you want from me today? But really, yeah, just loving people where they're at. No judgment, right? Judgment free zone.
Live and let live.
Live and let live. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, everybody, I hope that those of you that are listening can feel the love and heart and respect and joy of Corinne. In getting to know you, Corinne, you're a healing light just to talk to. So really appreciate you being here today. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, Corinne_Zuleger. Um, Website, www.corinnezuleger.com are the two easiest ways to find me. Facebook, Corinne Zuleger Life Coaching. Send me a message. I'll get back to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for being here now, everybody. Corinne, when you see the video, you'll see the video. Make sure you comment and put those links in there for people to be able to find you, and I'll tag you and all that, so it's easy to work with. And stick around for just a couple minutes, and we'll chat afterwards. Hey, everybody, Corinne Zuleger. What a wonderful interview. Got two more coming up later today, so stay tuned to Empowered Soul Network and have a wonderful afternoon, evening, great weekend coming up. Lots of love and light to everybody. Corinne, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.